Hey, thank you for joining for another video. I'm here in the outdoors. I'm doing a bushcraft overnight campy deal, but I decided I wanted to talk to you about the most important tools, outdoor tools that you can buy. I'm stumbling over my words. So that would be knives and saws. Intro. So, one of the most frustrating things about getting into outdoor and bushcraft that I have ever found was what knife and what saw to use. Watching different other people out that they're doing their thing, you know, I'd been camping, I'd used all kinds of knives. I might prefer just pocket knives, honestly. I didn't make any kind of feather sticks or any of that nonsense. However, money was the big concern. How much do you spend on these things? A lot of guys will spend $250, $300 a knife and not bat an eye at it. To me, that's a lot of money, especially if I can find one that's cheaper, do a little bit of modification on it, and get exactly what I need anyway. So, without further ado, let's talk about budget knives and saws. This saw cost me $7. And this cost me $10. Both of these I use and I really like. This is so good for hardwood. It's got really fine teeth. Can I get that? Thank you. It doesn't have a sheath, just that little plastic thing on there, but it is very good for hardwood. Cuts it very good. I prefer a fixed blade saw. It's got two little set screws to help you tighten it. You can replace the blade on it. Fine teeth, flexible, so when you're pushing it, you're not going to break. It's a pull saw, obviously, but this is one of my favorite saws, and it was like $7 or $8. Obviously, there are some disadvantages to it. It's not a very high quality saw. It rattles, it wobbles, it's not comfortable to hold, at least not that comfortable. The knife, $10 from Walmart, one of my favorite knives, and I use it probably in my top 3, honestly, and I've got a lot of knives. This is one subject that I know a little bit about. So these two things, you want to get out and camping, you want to do some bushcraft, these two things will set you back not even $20, and they're going to do everything you see other bushcrafters, these fancy schmancy YouTube channels do. They'll do them decently well, and they're not going to make your wife mad at you. If you go out and spend, oh honey, I spent $8 on a saw, she'd be like, why? And $10 on a knife, there you go. So that is what I would call the first class, our intro, getting into bushcraft and survival. The second thing, if you want to upgrade the saw, because of the blade's flexibility, its size, no sheath, it doesn't fold, doesn't pack, I would upgrade to something like this. This is a Coleman, or a knockoff Coleman. It was $15 again from Walmart, and I used this for about the first 3 years I was out and camping and bushcrafting. You can choke right up on it, it cuts pretty good. The teeth are offset slightly, the blade on the back is not, and I've even struck a fire still with this thing. I don't know if you can make out that, but I scarred up that spine pretty good striking a fire steel. Pretty darn good saw. Little bit better than this one. $15. Easy breezy, you know, that's nothing. So right here, $25, and you're out camping, doing everything you see other people doing. The only difference between, say, a knife like this and a $60 knife, this one comes with a feather still. It's a little bit more comfortable on the handle. Now granted, I still had to modify this. This was a $40 or $50 knife. I think I got it on sale. I think they sell for about 60 bucks now. It's a buck knife. This is probably my favorite knife, or very close to it. This knife though, I have a love-hate relationship with it. Cut me this scar right here on my hand, cost me over $100,000. This knife is easily my most expensive knife if you count me being stupid and smacking my hand with it. But Kydex sheath, so for 3 times, 4 times, 5 times the cost, you get a nice sheath, you get a ferro rod, you get a more comfortable handle, and you get the ability to strike. Well, you got to modify it a little bit, but better steel. A little bit better knife. Now, the only difference really between these two knives is that with this knife, the sheath is not as good, and it's not as comfortable to use as this one. I would say it is not worth a change in price of more than 5 times, but it's certainly an upgrade. And along with that, if you're going to spend $50 on a knife, go out and spend $30 on a silky pocket boy. The difference between these two saws is huge. This saw will cut faster, it will cut more, and it'll cut with less effort than this saw here. And this saw will likely break a lot sooner than this Japanese pole saw. So that's option number 2. So we got ourselves budget, a little bit more expensive, a little bit better quality, a little bit more comfort. The last thing I want to mention though is more money does not mean a better product. And that is evident with this knife right here. This is not the greatest knife ever. It's just even silly to say that. This right here, I'm not kidding, is made by BPS Knives. The blade was $20, the sheath was $9. This, I got it on Etsy of all places. Beautiful, handmade, I don't know if it's forged, I don't care. Walnut handle, I think, wood handle, very comfortable, very, very sharp. Carbon steel blade, slides right into the sheath. It holds very well. Leather sheath with a little bit of a dongle. I take this and I take this. This was probably $35 with shipping, and this right here was about $50. I will say this and I will stick to it 100%. Fixed blade saws will always beat a folder. This is just an amazing saw. This is absolutely my favorite saw. This is my go-to every single time I go out. I bring this one, even if I'm not sure I'm going to need it. The difference in weight is negligible, so it may not pack into such as small a place as something like this, but I'm adding maybe a couple ounces and getting a lot longer saw. It's not a folder, it's a full tang, fixed blade, sturdy, good cutting knife, cutting saw. These two right here, absolutely my favorite. So the point of all of this is you don't need to spend a lot of money to get into bushcraft or get into camping or any of that. You do not need to do that. You can get these. You can go with these for years and be just fine. You can replace this 50 times for the cost of all the rest of these. You can replace this saw 8 times before you cover the cost of this and this together. So easily these 3 things right here, you can do everything you can do with these things. The only difference is slight comfort on the hands, a little bit better sheath, that kind of thing. It's kind of like you're graduating up. Don't spend a lot of money right off the bat. One of the biggest problems with Silky is the blade is slightly flexible, but it breaks if it goes too far. So a lot of people will break the tips off their Silkies. They'll break the blades constantly because they're not sure, and this baffles me, how to use a pull saw. So don't spend a lot of money right out the gate. Don't think you have to spend a lot of money to get out. This, yeah, $30, made in Ukraine, BPS Knives, off Etsy. I love it, support it. I'm gonna buy more of their products. And of course, Silky Zubat. This is, I think, the 240 millimeter or something like that. Love it. I will use these 2 things for a very long time. This is a nice novelty. It's fun. It's overpriced. This is really good. But these things are good enough. And until quickly, one thing to note, even if you're new, these kind of knives, these silly little stringy sheath made in China, stainless steel, these are garbage. You will never like to use this little tiny knife. You can get a bigger one still with a paracord sheath or whatever. They're not comfortable. So I would shy away from them, and I would also shy away from these big survival Rambo style knives. Even they look great. They got this compass in the end here, which seems to work, but their quality is so bad. Every one of them. You spend $50 on one of these, the quality is going to be terrible. I've had 3 of them, and see, I can't even get this thing to, there we go. Maybe, yeah, okay. I have had 3 of these things, and every single one of them breaks. Why? The handle's hollow, so the blade only goes into it about right here, and this one is fixed with a screw. So this will not last. This will be frustrating. It'll give you blisters. It'll make your time outdoors just awful. Same with this little guy or any of the little paracord wrapped chunks of metal. So stay away from these type of things. You can just toss them right in the garbage. And the point of all this is, obviously, you do not need to spend a lot to get into bushcraft. You do not need to spend a lot to get in the outdoors. These are just fine. You'll be able to do everything that anybody with these or a $200 knife or a $300 golf knife, any of those really high-end brand knives, the only difference is a bit of easy use. A little bit better steel, might hold an edge a little bit better. But yeah, that's what I got to say about that. I will continue using these things. This is one of my, like I said, one of my favorite knives. I use it more than I use my $60 buck knife, but these two are my go-tos, and I don't really say a lot about hatchets. I did make one. Needs a little touch-up. I've been using it pretty heavy today, but I don't generally use them a lot, simply because they're heavy, and I like to hike places, and anything that this can do, I can do with a knife and a saw. To a point, right? I can't split the world, and I can't hammer, you know, this splits better, but it's still, you're carrying around 2 pounds of metal. And really, that's all I have to say about that. Someday, graduate them to a silky like this guy right here. This is a 650 millimeter katana boy, and it is expensive. And when I go out to do winter campouts, I always bring this because cutting big logs to make big hot fires that last a long time, this obviously will outperform this by quite a margin. Anyway, I'm just rambling now, so love you faces. Thank you so much for joining me, and just go outside, get outdoors, have a good time, and you don't need to spend a lot of money to do it. Thank you for supporting me. You guys are great. I so appreciate what you've done. I just hit 1,140 something subscribers. That is huge. I cannot believe how many views I got on my last bushcraft video. That just blew my mind. I'm doing this for fun. I'm doing this to create memories for my family, and if you guys enjoy my content, then that's cool. That's really cool. Like, that's really awesome. I probably wouldn't even enjoy my own content. Anyway, love you faces. Thank you so much. See you on the next video. Bye-bye.